Hey guys, I just wanted to show you something. Right now, what you're looking at is an MB1 loudspeaker, and I recently did a white noise test on this loudspeaker to show you the response of it. So, what I did next, I actually removed the foam padding that was inside this loudspeaker, as you can see right here. Yeah, I took out all this foam padding or paneling, and I did two tests, one with the padding inside the loudspeaker and another test without it. And I was really well, I wasn't really surprised. I already knew, but it was really interesting to see the response of this loudspeaker when you are using foam padding and when you are not using foam padding. It's a big difference. So I did a white noise test doing that, and I'm going to show you guys the results. Here we go. Here's the test results from the MB1 speaker using a white noise test. And before I start, I wanted to mention that this is the second test that I did, and as you can see, there's a big peak in response in the bass region around from 50 hertz all the way up to 100 hertz. And this wasn't there when I did the first test with understanding speaker response curve. There was no peak like this in the bass performance. So I don't know why that happened in this test that I did. And I did this test a day later than I did from the other tests. The day before was the first video I did with the MB1 white noise test, and it came out perfect. So the next day I did this test. As you can see, there's a big bump in that range, in the 50 hertz range. So I don't understand why, but maybe it's how the speaker was placed. I don't think I placed them any different. I placed the speaker the same position as I did the earlier test. But for some reason, it came out with a big boost in the bass. So don't pay attention to this part right here. But what I really want to focus on to show you guys is the response that I got from this speaker when I tested it with the foam padding, and then when I removed it with the foam padding. You can see the results. Okay, to start with, let's take a look at this chart right here with the foam padding inside the enclosure. As you can see, everything from, let's say, I'm going to go from 150 hertz all the way up to 1800 hertz. Looks pretty normal. It looks just the way it did in the previous test that I did. So everything looks normal. And again, this was a test that was done with the padding inside the enclosure. But look at what happened when you remove the foam padding. As you can see, there is a big increase in sensitivity once the padding was removed. In the first chart, it went up to negative 30 dB, and with the padding, and without the padding, it went up to negative 24. So that's a big increase in sensitivity when I was doing this test. And again, and this is what I always said before, anytime when you add some type of dampening material, such as foam or even wool or polyfill, it changes the response of the driver slightly. But what it does really is decrease the sensitivity of the driver. So if you had a speaker that went up to 87 decibels of sensitivity, it will go down, as you can see, about 3 to 5 decibels. And this is the reason why I don't really like to use the polyfill or even a foam in this case, because it really, as you can see, it really cuts down to the sensitivity of the driver. But not only that, when you take a close look, you notice there with the foam right here, there's a peak around 450 hertz right here. There's a little peak right here. But then when you look at the second chart, or the second test without the foam, the peak is kind of flattening out, as you can see. And the further you go down the sound spectrum, 1000 hertz, 1500 hertz, you see it's not much difference. There's a peak around maybe, what is this, 1800 hertz or 200, I'm sorry, 2000 hertz. There's a little peak right here from without the foam padding. and you look, everything else seemed pretty much the same. But one thing I didn't notice is the top end right here, which is around 5,000 hertz. You can see it's kind of flattened out, because when you look at the test with the foam right here, that's about 5,000 hertz. There's a slight peak, as you can see, but without the foam, it kind of flattened out a little bit. But pretty much, the test is it's pretty much similar, with or without the foam. The biggest difference that you see is the sensitivity of the loudspeaker changed. That's the most dramatic thing there. And again, depending on how you design the speaker or how it's designed, can really affect the response of the sound, especially using padding. And also, I'm really curious to see how it would sound, or to see the response if I were to use polyfill. Again, this is just stand-up foam, and the foam is actually used to just dampen or line the walls. Actually, it's not designed to go in the middle of the enclosure or to fill the enclosure. It's just designed to go against the walls or the sides of the enclosure. So I wonder what would happen if I would include the padding and the polyfill both inside the enclosure. I'm pretty sure it would definitely change the response of the loudspeaker and even the sensitivity, as you can see. So that's about it. I just wanted to show you guys there is a difference, when you use dampening material in a loudspeaker. It can, greatly affect the sound quality, and in this case, it definitely affects the sensitivity of the loudspeaker itself, as you can see. So yeah, I'm gonna do another test. I'm gonna do the same test. I'm gonna see if it's going to read the same, if the low end is going to be this high, because this is pretty high. I mean, it was like a big boost in the 50 to 100 hertz range for some reason, and again, I can't figure out why, but everything else is pretty accurate, as you can see, just like it was in the previous test that I did. So yeah, I'm going to do a second test this again to see if I get the same results. Then I'm going to do another test using the polyfill, and a couple more tests to see if you can see a change in the response of the loudspeaker. But everything else looks pretty good and pretty much the same. It's just a couple of peaks here and there around the 1,000 hertz that's changed slightly, but everything else is pretty much the same. So I hope you enjoyed this test, and again, I will be making more, so keep watching my channel, and thank you guys for watching. Take care and goodbye.